What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, are you guys ready for the story that never ends? Yes, this is another one of those stories that's just, it's never going to go away. This is always going to be in the news, so just prepare for this. Get ready, because this will be a story 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. It's not going away anytime soon, it seems like, because more and more evidence keeps coming out. Check this out, y'all. Body cam. Tennessee police suspected Kilmar Abrego Garcia of human trafficking in 2022 traffic stop. So, we've got the body cam footage, and I've got the clip to show you guys. And it's fascinating, y'all. Once again, and this is part of the reason why I always say, you know, Democrats, they're getting on the side of the criminals on these issues. I just almost covered another story about an ICE raid in Oklahoma the other day, where, you know, you got Democrats talking about, look, this is the Trump administration. We got the Gestapo going in and raiding people's houses. Well, there was a suspected safe house for human traffickers in Oklahoma. That house was raided. Well, you know, from what I can gather from the story of what it looks like to me, this is just all speculation. From what it appears, is that these people got tipped off that their house was going to get raided, their stash house for human trafficking was going to be raided. So what did they do? They picked up and moved out. And then they rented this place out to a nice American family with 3 children. And they got raided, as a matter of fact. And they're trying to say it's this big blunder, but it's not. Because all the warrants, all the investigation, all the information is there. The information is good. But they didn't find any evidence of human trafficking. Right? But that was, they had an investigation, an ongoing, years-long investigation. All the warrants were up to snuff. Everything was good. But that doesn't stop the Democrats from coming out and lying about this, saying, oh, but they just invaded some innocent civilian's home. Well, no, that's not what happened. So, if you guys hear this in the news, no, this was all on the up and up. Sure. Did we find our human smuggling operation? I don't think so. But honestly, the police have said that they haven't ruled out that the family that was living there at the time, that had just moved in like a week prior, they haven't ruled them out as suspects yet. So we will see how this story unfolds. It's partly why I didn't cover it. But, you know, Democrats, they just jump the gun. Oh, this is the Gestapo. That's all this is. But hang on just a second. No, there was a years-long investigation, blah, 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 blah. You get it. But let's get into this, because this is fascinating, y'all. And then we'll play that clip. Check this out. Newly released body cam footage reveals the 2022 traffic stop of MS-13 gang member and illegal immigrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadorian national who has since been deported to El Salvador under the Trump administration. Now, full transparency alert, right off the jump, this is coming from the Post Millennial, who is a right-wing news organization. So, just to get that out there, this isn't the Associated Press or some left-wing nut job. This is right-wing news. But, you know, it's fascinating because I wanted to cover this from the Associated Press or from Politico or some left-wing news. But guess what, folks? Guess what? You'll never guess. They're not covering this. They're not covering this at all. Once again, folks, because it goes against their narrative. This damages their reputation for uplifting and getting behind criminals in this country. The footage obtained by Fox News shows Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers pulling over Abrego Garcia on November 30th, 2022 for speeding. Inside his vehicle were 8 other men, raising immediate concerns of human trafficking. He's hauling these people for money, one trooper is heard saying on the video. Let's go ahead and watch that video. Check this out, y'all.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good, and you?
All right.
Everything good?
You got a bunch of people in here, don't you?
It's 1 for sick. Yes. Go back to work.
Gotcha. Where are you working at?
Where?
Where?
San Luis, Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm from to Maryland.
Okay. Now the reason I stopped you, we was running 75 down through here.
75?
Yeah. Of course, this is 65 through here. The what?
The problem with my license right now is expired, right?
It's suspended?
Suspended because I have my permanent employment So, like 2 years experience. So I need. So right now I waiting the paper for migration. For I go to the NBA. So you know.
Whose vehicle is it?
What, excuse me?
Whose car is it?
It's to my boss.
Your boss.
My boss. Yeah.
Where's he live? Where's your boss live?
My boss right now is staying in Maryland, but he lives in Texas.
Okay.
In Houston, Texas.
Where are you coming from?
From San Luis. So I work in San Luis. So right now, finished. That place finished. So I go back. Everybody go back to the house to Maryland. Next week, I go maybe tonight to the other project.
I thought you was going to Missouri.
The next project, I told you, the next project next week is everybody going to night school. The next project, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's construction.
What do y'all do?
Huh?
What kind of work is it?
It's construction, like remoderation, painting, drywall, everything like that.
Does anybody else have a driver's license?
Driver license?
Yeah.
No.
How many rows have you got in here? 4?
Where?
4 seats? 4 rows of seats?
Yeah, it's three seats. Yeah, with it. Yeah.
Did y'all put an extra one in?
Huh?
Did y'all put another one in?
No.
Did it come like this?
It's the truck.
I've never seen one with that many seats in it.
What you say? It's my boss.
I said I've never seen one with that many seats.
Oh,
in
really?
It. Yeah. That's why I was asking if you'd put an extra one in.
No, it's the same. Like this.
Okay.
You know what you got, right?
Huh?
You know what you got here, right?
No.
He's hauling these people for money, is what he's doing. But sometimes they commingle dope.
No. But
He,
did you see how squad at the back of the
there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to all these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my guess.
Now, to be fair, that is speculation on behalf of that state trooper. However, that is educated speculation, by the way, because they see these things all the freaking time. Now, that's fascinating because we can tell that is a mid-2000s, either a Chevrolet Suburban or a GMC Tahoe. Now, those vehicles, by the way, and no SUV made in the United States, come with 4 rows of seats. They had 8 men in there. What's fascinating is their story changed about where they were going, coming from St. Louis or whatever. Oh, I thought you were going to St. Louis, blah, 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 blah. Says he's in Maryland, right? Oh, where's his boss live? He's in Maryland. Oh, but he's from Houston, Texas, which is a hub for human trafficking, as a matter of fact. That is fact, by the way. This is all very, very fascinating. He was traveling with 8 people. Now, you know, the corporate press, when they first reported on this story, they said, oh, this guy was a sheet metal worker. That's a lie, apparently, unless he changed professions. But, you know, most of those people don't change professions. They do sheetrock, you know, drywall, mudding, taping, floating, painting, blah, 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 you name it. That's not sheet metal work. I am sorry. And, you know, I do work in that field. I do work in construction. I do commercial construction. So I work with a lot of Mexicans, if you will. A lot of people of Spanish descent. We'll put it that way. All right. And sure, they may travel 3 or 4 to a vehicle, never 8. Because for one, when you're traveling with that many people for work, those people always carry tools. There's always tools in those vehicles. Every single freaking one of them. There was no room for tools in that vehicle. Now, I'm just making the case for logic. I'm not making the case that he's a human trafficker. I'll let the police do that. And obviously, they never came up with enough evidence. However, he was arrested with $1,400 on him, but that doesn't say anything except for the fact that he had $1,400 on him. And he's going to Maryland from Houston, which is a known hub of human trafficking, which, because it's close to the border and it's a large metropolitan area, blah, 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 you get it. But, you know, this is all very, very fascinating that the corporate press is absolutely silent on this. Fascinating. Abrego Garcia, 29, entered the U.S. illegally in 2011 and was ordered deported in 2019. That is right. That is another fact to this case that the corporate press conveniently leave out constantly. 2 immigration judges determined he was likely affiliated with MS-13. That is also another fact that the corporate press conveniently leave out of these news articles. Democrats, too, despite his background and a deportation order, which is another conveniently left out fact. An immigration judge determined that he should remain in the United States after Abrego Garcia claimed his life would be in danger if he returned to El Salvador. How, you know, that's another thing that they also forget about. They're trying to use this as a bludgeon to bludgeon the federal government over the head with, that, oh, he was mistakenly deported. He wasn't supposed to go to El Salvador. This is very true. However, that was contingent upon his life being in danger if he was to go back, right? That's what that was about. However, the situation in El Salvador vastly changed since then. So what does that tell you? The administrative error, do you know what it was? Do you guys? No, the corporate press has never reported on it. He was supposed to have an interview with a CIS agent about the situation in El Salvador, saying that the gang that so-called threatened his life were no longer in operations in El Salvador, making it safe for his return. So he was going to have an interview with that CIS agent and be shipped back to El Salvador post-haste, canceling that earlier stay on his deportation. But the corporate press never tells you about this. They just say he's a Maryland father. And they forget about, you know, him being a wife beater and all that other stuff. They leave the important details out that could possibly change your opinion on why we should keep this guy here. When troopers ran his name through the NCIC, a warning flagged him as a suspected gang member or terrorist, Fox News reported. He was also carrying $1,400 in cash, believed to be a payment for human labor trafficking, and had an invalid Maryland driver's license. This is a good stop, one trooper said during the encounter. However, since the Trump administration deported Abrego Garcia this year, mainstream media outlets have portrayed him as a Maryland father wrongly deported. Although the Trump administration said that his deportation was in error in court documents, the administration has said that it was a mere administrative error and that Abrego Garcia still had to be deported. U.S. District Judge Paulizenis, an Obama appointee, has ordered the federal government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the United States from El Salvador to correct the error to complete due process. What does that mean, folks? You know what that means? Like I've been saying on all these videos, this is what Democrats spent your tax dollars to fly to El Salvador to go get this guy out of jail. They want him, and all this uproar about this Abrego Garcia guy, they want him to come back to the United States to have that interview with the CIS agent, to be deported again. There is no reality in which this guy comes back to the United States and gets to stay here, go back to Maryland. There is no reality. That is not real, regardless. But once again, the corporate press does not tell you this, because if they did, their narrative around this would just fall apart, just completely fall apart. Then that would make everybody with a lick of common sense think, then why are we bringing him back? To finish the due process when he's going to get deported anyway? It's guaranteed he will get deported again. A guarantee. But they don't want to tell you that, folks. Further court records from Maryland show that in 2021, Abrego Garcia's wife described years of domestic abuse. I have multiple photos, videos of how violent he can be and all the bruises he has left me, she wrote, adding that she feared for her life. In another filing, the ex-wife's referred to Abrego Garcia as a gang member. That is right. So another court filing, we've come to find out that his wife's her ex-husband, in other words, filed for custody of the children because he said that Abrego Garcia was in an MS-13 gang member and he feared for their children's lives. That is another just conveniently left out fact the corporate press does not tell you. And I wonder why. Once again, folks, you don't have to take it from me. Of course, I'm a biased guy. I'm a partisan dude, right? I'm going to have one side. I'm going to push a narrative, if you will. And sure, once again, was his deportation kind of hastily done? Sure. That's the point of deportations, by the way. That is absolutely the point. Was there an administrative error? Yeah. And, admonish the Trump administration for doing so. He was supposed to have a CIS interview before he left, talking about his situation that has rapidly changed, has vastly changed in El Salvador. They were supposed to do that, and they didn't. I can say these things. I can say that, it might have been a bit of a mistake. However, looking at all the evidence in totality, I can also look at all that evidence and say there is zero reality where this guy gets to live the rest of his days out in the United States as a Maryland father, for crying out loud. So what is the point of bringing him back? Just to finish the due process? Who cares if he's going to be deported anyway? I would tell the Trump administration, be more careful. That's what I would have to say to Donald Trump. I would tell him to tell Tom Homan, Secretary Noam, be more careful with these deportations. Be more careful when raiding possible human smuggling stash houses. I didn't know that you could have a stash house for people, for crying out loud, but apparently you can. But there is a lot of people in this country illegally that want jobs. And these people, they do a lot of construction work because it's low skill labor work, blah, blah, blah. It's easy to get a job. You can pay these people in cash, and it's a lot easier to do. And it's a big industry, and it's illegal, by the way, to transport non-citizens, or I should say criminal aliens, to job sites, taking them from anywhere. It's illegal to transport these people, and people get paid to do this. As a matter of fact, there's been CBP agents, Border Patrol, caught getting paid and smuggling humans into this country. That is a thing that happens, and it is illegal. But once again, folks, the corporate press, they're not going to tell you these things because they want you to hate the Trump administration. They want you to deride Trump constantly for anything and everything he does. This is why you can have stories simultaneously from the New York Times. A 2-year-old, her parents get deported, and she is left abandoned in the United States. An American citizen. At the same time, another story about a mother deported with her 2-year-old children. Both stories paint the administration in an evil kind of way. And they are totally So what do you do? It doesn't matter what the Trump administration does in that situation. The only other option would be to keep the illegal immigrants in the country. This is what these people want. It gives Democrats more power in Congress. Do you think they're going to be like, no, we don't want more power? Of course they want more power. That's what it does, because these people get counted on the census. But that, folks, will be coming to an end pretty soon. Hopefully the Trump administration can get that across the line. How the census counts non-citizens on the census. It's insane. Why? They're not supposed to be here. But they get counted, which that's where congressional districting, their power derives from, essentially. It's how many people are in this district, how many people are in this district. They already say, due to the illegal immigration, places like California, New York, all the sanctuary cities would have a lot less power Like California by itself is estimated anywhere from 3 to 7 congressional seats. Electoral college seats. Yeah. 3 to 7. That's a good bit, folks. That is a good bit. That is, some states have only 7. Louisiana has 9, I believe. It's insane. It's fascinating. But that's where the electoral power comes from. Take some of that away, they lose power. Now you can kind of see the angle why they say, oh, it's a fascist takeover. They're going to lose their power. But, you know, all things being equal, rightly so. Abso-freaking-lutely. But, you know, that's one of the things. Are all things equal? No, they're not, folks. They're absolutely not. We have criminal aliens all over the damn place. Right? You know, and Texas could stand to lose a couple of electoral college seats. Yeah, that's a possibility. Florida, anywhere where there's criminal aliens. But that would get things back to how it's supposed to be, folks. And that's what we're trying to do. Or that's what the administration is trying to do. And it's fascinating. Just the way the mainstream news covers news. They leave out pertinent information. Sucks, y'all. It really does. And it saddens me. It's a shame that these people, they do it for political purposes, to push a narrative, to push an agenda. And it's always, remember this, Republicans are bad, Democrats not so much. They're the good guys. Remember that. Democrats are always the good guys and Republicans are always in the wrong, even if they're right. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.